The reading is taken from Genesis chapter 25, verses 19 onwards, the story of Jacob and Esau. This is the account of the family line of Abraham's son Isaac. Abraham became the father of Isaac, and Isaac was 40 years old when he married Rebekah, daughter of Bethuel the Aramean from Paddan Aram, and sister of Laban the Aramean. Isaac prayed to the Lord on behalf of his wife because she was childless. The Lord answered his prayer, and his wife Rebekah became pregnant. The babies jostled each other within her, and she said, "Why is this happening to me?" So she went to inquire of the Lord. The Lord said to her, "Two nations are in your womb, and two peoples from within you will be separated. One people will be stronger than the other, and the elder will serve the younger." When the time came for her to give birth, there were twin boys in her womb. The first to come out was red, and his whole body was like a hairy garment, so they named him Esau. After this, his brother came out with his hand grasping Esau's heel, so he was named Jacob. Isaac was 60 years old when Rebekah gave birth to them. The boys grew up, and Esau became a skillful hunter, a man of the open country, while Jacob was content to stay at home among the tents. Isaac, who had a taste for wild game, loved Esau, but Rebekah loved Jacob. Once Jacob was cooking some stew, Esau came in from the open country, famished. He said to Jacob, "Quick, let me have some of that red stew. I'm famished." This is why he was also called Edom. Jacob replied, "First, sell me your birthright." "Look, I am about to die," Esau said. "What good is the birthright to me?" But Jacob said, "Swear to me first." So he swore an oath to him, selling his birthright to Jacob. Then Jacob gave Esau some bread and some lentil stew. He ate and drank, and then got up and left. So Esau despised his birthright. This is the word of the Lord.
Hello and welcome everybody. I'm Wendy, I'm one of the church wardens here, and it is my honour to be delivering a message this morning. If you know me, why is she limping? I stood up to answer the telephone on Friday and sprained my ankle, so I'm a bit wobbly. In the last couple of weeks and moving on, we're in the middle of a series about the patriarchs. And the patriarchs was the name given to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. And very often God says, "I am the God of Abraham and Isaac and Jacob." And these are, they were given the name patriarchs, and this has got a bit of a double meaning. Patriarchs pater means father, and the arche bit means founding, beginning, or origin. So they are the founding fathers of the family of the nation of Israel. The word arche also has got a double meaning, because as well as meaning the founding and the origin and the beginning of, it also means the rules, the rulers, the powers, the authority of. So you've got a double meaning here. You've got the founding fathers, and you've also got the family boss. But when we come to look at these people, you have Abraham, who is a very remarkable man. He is the friend of God. He is the beginning of the family. And then you have Isaac, and then you have Jacob, who's another really remarkable person who has 12 sons who become the origin of the 12 tribes of Israel. And Isaac is pretty much a bit of a footnote in the stories of Abraham and of Jacob. Isaac doesn't have very much of a story of his own, except for a chapter where he goes and digs some wells. So Isaac is a strange and passive sort of a person, apparently. But Isaac seems to have a very simple, a very childlike faith. And I want to develop that in a minute. So we've got these three founding fathers that we're talking about. This is their story. The story of Genesis is the story of God's faithfulness to these men. Different as they are, God made a promise. He makes a promise to Abraham. His promise is to Abraham that he will be the founder of a large tribe, a powerful nation. He will have many, many offspring. And God is faithful in that promise. God promises that they will have a land to live in. And that promise is the source of some controversy today, but I'm not going to go into that at the moment. And God promises that they will be the blessing to the whole world. And through the faith of these three founding fathers, we can have Jesus in our lives because they are Jesus' ancestors. If they did not keep the faith, they would not have been the channel through which Jesus came into our lives. So this is why these three men are important. They are the founders of Jesus' family. They are the founders of our family in God. So God made a promise to Abraham, and he said, you will be the ancestor of a great nation. And he, as we know, this promise didn't seem to be happening, but God said, I will make a promise to you. I'm going to make a promise to your wife as well. You are going to have a son, the two of you, and he will be the vessel of my blessing. So the promise continued through Abraham and Sarah to Isaac. Isaac was then, his father then found him a wife, and Rebecca. He was married to Rebecca. And I don't know if you noticed in that passage that we read, Rebecca was childless, and God answered his prayer. Isaac married Rebecca when he was 40. She didn't have twins until he was 60. That was 20 years that he was waiting. Now, God had given them that promise. God had promised them, and nothing happened. Nothing happened for 20 years. And what did Isaac do? He prayed. And that is just such simple, deep, childlike faith in God. He's trusting God's promise. And Jesus said, unless you become like little children, you cannot enter the kingdom of heaven. That's the faith that Isaac had. He didn't try to do anything. He didn't try to rush God. He didn't try to make it happen, but he didn't get into any schemes or anything. He just trusted God and he prayed. And I think that's really important. Okay, just want to say, I have experience as a mother of twin boys. And yes, and as Rebecca found, they argue and they fight. And they are very competitive with one another. So this story that continues with them being very competitive with one another, it rings absolutely true. This is what having twin boys are like. And it's hard work too. So yeah, our twins. So after 20 years of waiting to become pregnant, Rebecca had a really rough pregnancy. The twins fought in her womb. I mean, she was saying, what is going on here? This is not how it's meant to be. I'm having a really bad time here. And God, you made this promise, and what's going on? So she went to God and asked him, God, what's going on here? And he made her a promise. So God is the God of promises. God is the God who gives. God is the God who provides. And he said to her, not only are you going to be the mother of a great nation, which is the promise that I gave to Abraham, the promise I gave to Sarah, the promise I gave to Isaac. This is a promise to you. Not only are you going to be the mother of one great nation, you're going to be the mother of two great nations. And not only that, I'm going to turn things on their head, because normally the older will be the stronger and the younger will be the weaker. Normally, the younger will be the servant of the older. But I am the God who does new things. I am the God who changes things. And I am going to make a promise that this is going to be different. The younger one is going to serve the older one. So eventually she had her twins, and it was not an easy birth because first of all Esau came out, and then Jacob had got his hand above his head, and that cannot have been easy either. So this was not, having these twins wasn't an easy pregnancy, it wasn't an easy birth, but they were there, and she must have rejoiced in that. And they grew up, they both survived. They grew up and they were different from one another. Esau liked going out and hunting, and Jacob liked hanging around the tents. He didn't go out much. He liked the society of his family. He liked the people. And here's a problem. There was a bit of parental favoritism going on. So Isaac apparently liked wild game. He liked his tummy, and he liked the meat that Esau brought in. Rebecca just liked having Jacob around, and they had a close relationship with one another. And further on in a passage that we're not going to see, we'll see how that developed. But she also had to carry on bearing in mind this promise that he'd made, that the older would serve the younger, and it was going to be the younger son that God favoured as well. So there's a tradition that says this incident that we see here happened when the boys were about 15. This is a rabbinical tradition, and that it happened shortly after Abraham had died, and that the reason that Jacob was cooking a red lentil stew was he was cooking it for his father because it was a mourning meal, because of the fasting and sackcloth and ashes of mourning for Abraham, and he was not eating meat, which Isaac probably was resenting, but possibly. Anyway, whatever. Jacob was cooking a lentil stew. And Esau comes home, and whether or not he's caught anything, he's really hungry. And he says to his brother, "Give me some stew." And Esau is the older brother, But he's not been an older brother in the sense that most of us would expect an older brother to be. He's not been the older brother who has protected his younger brother, who has taught his younger brother, who's been an example for his younger brother, because he's only minutes older than his brother. He's not been those years older which give you more experience, which give you an ability to look after your younger brother. He may be bigger than his younger brother because of liking going out and hunting, and he might have been able to bully his younger brother, but he's not been the sort of the nurturing older brother, because he's not had that age difference. And he comes in and he starts bossing his younger brother around. And his younger brother says, no. If you want this stew, and you really want the stew, you make me the older brother. So, I mean, this is a bit ridiculous, because there's a story in one of the William books where one of William's friends sells his aunt to one of his friends, because the other friend likes the aunt. I mean, you can't do that. You can't do that. You cannot sell your position in the family. But Jacob demands it. He says, I want your position in the family. I want to be the elder brother. And Esau says, well, it's ridiculous. But, I'm really, really hungry, so okay. So he gives up his position in the family to his younger brother, and it says in James, in the old translation, he sold his birthright for a mess of pottage, which is which I've called it a mess of pottage, which is an old translation of a meal of stew. So he sold his birthright for a bowl of stew. So he has preferred his own hunger, his own stomach, his own immediate wants for his position in his family and for his position in the favour of God and in the favour of his own father. So, when I was thinking about this passage, the thing that came to me as the thing that I needed to present was the contrast between the patience and the ongoing nature and the long-term planning of God's covenant to Abraham and Isaac and Jacob, and some of the short-term instant gratification that they were seeking in this story. So God gave Sarah a promise that she would have a son, and she just had to wait for that. She just had to wait and wait and wait and be patient. And Isaac arrived at the right time. Isaac and Rebekah, they had the same promise from God, that they were going to have children who would be the origin of a great nation. The same promise that God gave to Abraham and Sarah. They had to wait for 20 years. And Isaac, he didn't do nothing in those 20 years. Isaac prayed. I mean, we know what the shenanigans that Abraham got up to trying to have a child, and how he had a child through Hagar, but that was not the child of the promise. Abraham tried to force God's hand. God said, no, my plans come in my time. Esau, he wanted food now. He didn't want his birthright, which was something that was going to happen in the future. And he was ruled by his stomach, he was ruled by his wants now. He wanted to be satisfied now. He didn't want blessing in the future. And Jacob as well. God had made a promise to Rebekah to say that the older would serve the younger. And Jacob was trying to force God's hand here in trying to buy the birthright. Jacob wasn't doing right either. He was trying to force God's hand. And then as we see the history of Jacob unfolding, we can see how he gets into all sorts of trouble by trying to force God's hand one way or another. So basically, God has a plan. God has given us promises. And God's promises unfold in his time. That trying to force God's hand just causes problems. God's plan unfolds in his own time, in his own way. He just calls us to be faithful. He calls us to follow. And the thing that we can do, listen to God, trust in God, and pray. Those are the three things that he calls us to do. Thank you.
Thank you, Wendy. Oh, actually, I'm not supposed to be calling you by your name now. Do you know why, Wendy? Because in my culture, when you have had twins, we give you a different title. We don't call you by your name. If you're from Uganda, you would know. She would be called Nalongo, and Roger would be called Salongo. And your children will have different names as well. So I might not call you Wendy again, so I apologize. Yeah, my elders would have a go at me for calling you by your name. What a wonderful word that you brought to us today. And I'm just loving this God of promises. But I wonder if we're able to be patient. 20 years, 40 years, 100 years, goodness me, it's a lot of waiting. But he still fulfills his promises. And let's just trust and obey. Let's just be faithful, because when he fulfills it, he will fulfill it, and it will be satisfied. Amen. And as we reflect on this beautiful message that we have received today, we're going to be in time of prayer. If you need someone to pray for you, and what I'm thinking about